a woman a type of orgasm that she probably didn't even know was possible. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to touch boobies like a pro, so you can give a woman her first ever nipple orgasm. The last couple of techniques we're going to go over are for experts only, so please make sure you pay close attention. A lot of guys will skip over breast play and nipple stimulation because they don't realize how arousing and pleasurable it can actually be for women. So you can add this to your toolkit in the bedroom to add some more variety and spice things up in your love life. The nipples alone have almost the same number of nerve endings as the clitoris does, which makes them highly sensitive to touch, pressure, and temperature changes. Stimulating these nerve-rich areas sends signals straight to her brain's pleasure centers, which triggers the release of feel-good hormones like dopamine and oxytocin. Studies have shown that nipple stimulation triggers the same parts of the brain as clitoral and vaginal stimulation. This means that the right kind of touch can lead to heightened arousal and, in some cases, a very intense full-body nipple orgasm. Now, nipple sensitivity varies quite a lot between women. So you're going to want to get her feedback when you try out some of the more intense things later on in this video. Some women damn near want their nipples ripped off, others require a much more delicate approach. So it's very important that you get your woman's feedback during the course of this. So I want you to start this process very simply and very slowly. And we're going to start by teasing her breasts through her shirt, like over the fabric itself, to create a barrier between your hands and her breasts and her nipples to not overly stimulate it straight away. Just sort of teasing into it. And then the next step is we're going to start touching the skin itself. We're not going to touch the nipples though. We're just going to touch around the nipples and touch the breasts themselves. But we're not going to directly touch the nipples just yet. So then we're going to move on and we're going to massage that breast tissue a bit more firmly. Again, still not directly touching the nipples themselves. We're kind of trying to build up and direct all the blood flow to that area so that when we eventually do get to the nipples, there's enough blood flow there to increase that stimulation. By the way, guys, make sure you like the video and give us a subscribe if you like these kinds of videos. We've got tons of them on this channel giving you all kinds of advice on all things sex. So the next step is we're going to tease the nipples themselves, but we're going to do it with a very, very light touch, almost light enough as though you are just feeling your own fingers through a piece of paper. That degree of sensitivity is what we're aiming for. Really, really teasing her in this scenario. We're not diving all in with the sensation dialed up to 100 straight away. As you said, we've progressed very, very slowly. We're building up the direction of the blood flow, and now we're onto the nipples. We're doing it very, very gently and softly. And the idea is we're going to build things up very slowly up to this point of climax eventually. Then the next step is you can move on to teasing the nipples with your tongue. And again, we're using very soft, delicate teasing kind of strokes with the tongue over the nipples, around the full length of the nipples, and on the tip of the nipples as well. From here, if you'd like to experiment with temperature changes, ice is a cool thing to start incorporating here and seeing if this is something your woman really enjoys, or if not, no worries, no harm done. But ice can create that very interesting temperature difference between the ice on the nipple and then the warmth of your tongue and your mouth on the nipple. Going back and forth, that contrast, kind of the same way doing like an ice bath and then jumping into a sauna, if you've ever done that. That extreme temperature change causes lots of blood to rush to that area and it causes endorphins to be produced. So we're trying to go for a similar thing here with using like an ice cube on her nipples like this, and then going back and forth between ice cube and your tongue or your mouth. The next step after that will be sucking on the nipples directly. So you can start putting them between your lips, creating a little bit of a vacuum to pull them a little bit and applying a little bit of pressure there with your lips by pulling that part of the breast and the nipple tissue kind of into your mouth like that. We're not applying loads of pressure here, but we're just starting off with a bit of a gentle sucking of the nipples to kind of increase that sensation range for her. Now we're moving into the territory where it's really important that you can gauge her body language, gauge her feedback. Hell, do it straight out verbatim verbally if you need to. Maybe a new partner you haven't experimented like this with, a long-term girlfriend or your wife, and you've just never done this sort of stuff before. It's very important for you to not push too far and actually cause pain. Like I said earlier on, women's sensitivity in the nipple region varies quite a lot. So if she can handle it and if she enjoys it. This is where we're going to start to incorporate some squeezing and some pinching of those nipples. Now, if she doesn't enjoy this at all, then we just stick with the teasing and the rubbing gently and more delicately. But if she does like it and she does enjoy it, this is where you can step things up a little bit and start to sort of squeeze those nipples and pinch them a little bit as well. You're not going to pinch it like you're doing like a nipple twister, like you might have done, back in school to people when you're having a crack at them. But here we're just applying a squeezing pressure like that. It's not going to be super intense, but it's sort of one more step up once again. Then the next step up from that is going to be pulling the nipples with your hands a bit more forcefully. Reiterate again, you've got to check in with her and see if there's something she enjoys or if it's something she's not quite into. Some women will really enjoy that sensation of having their nipples down here pulled off them, but you can pull with a bit more force. This is also why things like nipple clamps feel nice to some women as well. They really enjoy that sensation of the nipples being pressed, but some women enjoy just the tip of it being played with. That stimulating sensation there versus the pressing sensation or the pulling sensation that we've just gone on to. And then the kind of final threshold up from that is lightly biting those nipples. You're going to be putting them in between your teeth, and you're not going to be biting down like you're trying to chop the things off. You're going to be pressing down like with just enough force that she can feel the edges of your teeth a little bit right there. And again, as always, gauging her response, seeing what she's into, seeing how much she likes it. And then you can incorporate some sucking at the same time. Suck them a bit deeper into your mouth and then pinch on those nipples a little bit with your teeth. And then you can incorporate your tongue and lick and tease the front of her nipples at the same time. So there's a whole host of sensations that you're incorporating simultaneously while you're doing that. And if she can take that level of stimulation and that intensity, well, you can just obviously increase the pressure, increase the speed if you're playing with the tip of the nipple with your tongue. All these are sort of variables you can play with, and you're getting feedback from her and you're gauging, okay, where she is at, right? And are we building up to a point where she can actually achieve orgasm? So basically what we're doing here is we're kind of mapping out her nipple sensitivity, and we're honing in on exactly where her sweet spot is. Which of these sort of sensations and whereabouts with how much pressure, how much force, how much speed is her sweet spot that she really enjoys the most. And then we can focus in and dial in on that sweet spot and give her a completely new pleasurable sensation that she probably hasn't experienced before. Now, for some more